Welcome back. Today we are taking a trip to the future by revisiting the past. We're checking out Heavyocity's newest library, Convergence. Culminated from the depths of 130 analog sources, they have created a whopping nearly 500 presets, all running on the free Contact player and coming in at a slim and trim just under 10 gigabytes of downloadable content. Let's check it out. So I should note, first of all, that this particular library comes with two NKIs. It comes with the designer, which we're looking at right now, as well as the menu, which I will talk about briefly, but we'll spend most of our time in the designer. So this bad boy runs off the Gravity 2 engine. This is my first time seeing the engine. This is my first Heavyocity library, so keep that in mind when you're watching this review. In a nutshell, we have a color-coded 3-layered system. So I have loaded up the Arrival preset, and we have our 3 different layers. Why don't I start by soloing each of those so you can hear what those sound like. So as you can hear on their own, they're subtle, but when you layer these sounds, that's where things really start to get interesting. You get your volume pan and tuning controls for each of these. As we click on the different colors, you'll see these macro controls also changing colors. So now I am changing the filter and EQ for the first channel. If I want the amnesia one, there we go, filter EQ. You get the idea, all nice and color coded. Furthermore, you can see down here which of these macro controls have been activated. For instance, tone, the solid color will indicate that it has been activated for all 3 of these. Drive, on the other hand, has not. And you can see that saturation and distortion has not been activated for any of the channels. You got your Big Daddy macro control. I've assigned it to my fader. You'll also see color coded underneath the range of these on our keyboard. So right now, these are all evenly distributed across the entire range of the keyboard. Maybe I want this kind of orchestra sound starts to kind of glide up as you move up. So you could stagger these bad boys. So as you're performing, you could start with the cello, add the second channel, move higher up, and then add the last one. Let's try that right now. So you could really use these in like a performance situation. I can see this being very, very useful. Let's talk about these individual controls. We have our envelope, tone, which is filter and EQ. We got our drive, saturation, distortion. We have our gate and pitch, as well as our reverb controls. Now I should note that assigning them here, we'll assign them to each individual channel, but there's also a general effects section towards the end of the engine, which I will talk about. If we click on this next cogwheel, this next panel opens up our mixer section, and it's not just kind of any mixer section. As you can see, it has a very, very different look. So you get your little puck that you can move around. Okay, you can also automate and record how you want it to move around. If you really want to automate as you're moving from one channel, one patch to the next. Or you get your random feature, and of course I love the random feature. So let's try it. Okay, I don't know exactly what's happening here other than it sounds really cool. Okay, it feels like it's moving some of the signal into different areas of the stereo spectrum. That's my rough understanding. Don't quote me on that. Regardless, it looks cool. It sounds cool. I dig it. Let's click on the next one. Okay, now we got our sequence control. Now you can see this main macro knob is rotating back and forth, and that's because it's running through this sequence. If I shut it off, voila, it'll stop. And of course, this can all be programmed, but I think this library is really about the motion and having the sound move around. I think for me personally, I'd probably keep that macro sequence going. And there's also the macro LFO control. So let's turn both of those on. I feel like you can do a lot with very little because you could just hold down 1 or 2, 3 notes and just kind of let the engine do its thing. Let's click on this next one. We got their wave versus sequence. This is our wave file for this particular sound. Let's shoot that up to 100. So now every time I play a note, it should start the sound at a different place within the wave file, I think. Let's try it out. Now I should note that each of these are individually controlled, so you can see the wave for each of these different sounds. So you can change sample start and stop for each of the different layers. Pretty damn cool. There's also sequencer functionality. These can be programmed for each of the individual layers. So you could have one kind of go through the sequence while the other one is playing more of kind of a static chord. So again, a whole bunch of different ways that you can mix and have lots of fun with the sound. Here we have our menu where we can swap out different samples. So we can go into our modern sound. Let's grab something aggressive and let's drag it into the second channel, see what happens. So if you had a sound that you really liked, but you wanted to drop a different source in there, this would be the way to do it. And then we have our effects panel. So we have a whole bunch of different controls. We have gently, hurt me plenty, and nightmare. I feel like you got to go with nightmare for these sounds. And then, of course, you can also assign these to a controller. So I have this on another fader. Unlike the first page where we could apply the effects for each individual sound source, this is now a global effects section. So we have all kinds of controls. You can change the order, and as you click on each one, you'll have the individual controls. Let's put this on a different preset, and we'll have some fun with these. One of my favorites, Panic Ops. I could play with that preset all day long. This will control how far you want to push those effects in a global sense. If we click on this cog wheel, we'll have some additional controls. Velocity curve. We got some mono versus poly, legato. This controls whether or not the sustain pedal will affect that channel as you're using it. Let me go through and play a few of these patches from each category. You got your cue creators, rhythmic pedals, arps, pads, keys, plucks, leads, and bass. So I would say out of all of those, the cue creators, the rhythmic pedals, and the arps, that's really the strength of this library. Here is the second NKI, which is the convergence menu. Here you will have access to each of these sources individually. So we have our single sources and our single sources short, core, retro, modern, processed, textured. So you can load those up and process them individually. If you just want to really work on like fine tuning single sources and developing those, this would be the place to do it. For me, I think I'd probably spend most of my time in the other NKI. Let's take a quick peek at the composition. I have some pads, pedals, more pads, and they're cue creators, some analog leads, more pads. I got a bass, arpeggio. I don't have any of their percussion libraries. I know Damage is probably the biggest percussion library ever released. I don't have it. Otherwise, I would have put it in here. Anyway, I got a little percussion in here from Sound Iron. We got Apocalypse drums and Temple drums just to add a little thunder at the end. But as you can see, the bulk of the composition is all just convergence. And hopefully this will give you a good idea of what you can do. This library is available on an intro price of $119 US. I think that's pretty reasonable. I mean, I think there's a lot of sound sources. There's a lot of effort that has gone to this library. The engine, I am completely blown away by the Gravity 2 engine, and I know that that is not just specific just to this library, but I think there's so much you can do with that engine. I just had a ton of fun. So intuitive, so easy to use, so tweakable. Now, is there some overlap with this library compared to previous Heavyocity libraries I've released? I have absolutely no idea. Don't have any other Heavyocity libraries to compare to. But what I can tell you is that I found inspiration through this library. I had fun using it. I got stuck on the sick feeling aggressive pad. The only thing that's on there is some EQ. I haven't added anything else to any of these channels. For that particular sound, I just took the preset and I fooled around with some of the effects chains and some of the modulation and macros, and I couldn't stop playing that sound. I played it for like 20 minutes. So for me, when I'm looking for libraries, I'm looking for something interesting. Does it spark some kind of creativity within me? And I would say that this one definitely did. You'll have to decide for yourself if this is going to fill the need for you and your needs. Make sure you like and subscribe. That's it for me, friends. Catch you in the next one.